Perhaps no man of near recent times passed a more varied and romantic life than the famed Yorkshire groom, statesman, and friend of sovereigns, Thomas Ward, who played so prominent a part at the Court of Parma, his career strongly exemplifying the adage that truth is stranger than fiction. Thomas Ward was born at York, on the 9th of October 1810. He was brought up in the stable, but was shrewd and intelligent far beyond boys of his own station. He left Yorkshire as a rider in the pay of Prince Liechtenstein of Hungary, and after a 4 years successful career on the turf at Vienna as a jockey, he became employed by the then reigning Duke of Lucca. He was at Lucca promoted from the stable to be a valet to His Royal Highness, which service he performed up to 1846. About that period he was appointed Master of the Horse to the ducal court, when he made extraordinary changes in that department. The stable expenses were reduced more than one half. Yet the Duke's stud remained the envy and admiration of all Italy. Eventually Ward became Minister of the Household and Minister of Finance, and acquired a diplomatic dignity in the disturbances which preceded the revolutionary year, 1848, when he was dispatched to Florence upon a confidential mission of the highest importance. This had no less an object than the delivery, to the Grand Duke, of his master's abdication of the Lucchese Principality in favor of his son, also named Charles. At first the Grand Duke hesitated at receiving, in a diplomatic capacity, one of whom he had only heard in relation to the races of the casino. But our envoy had seen and provided for such an emergency. He produced from his pocket a commission, making him Viceroy of the Duke's estates, which was to be acted upon if the Grand Duke raised any obstacle, or even if he refused to receive Ward as Ambassador of the States of Parma, at the capital of the Medicis. This, of course, ended all difficulties. Ward held these offices until the Duke's rule was violently terminated by the Great Revolution of 1848. With some difficulty, he escaped with his able and faithful minister, when they retired to an estate near Dresden. At this period Ward became an active agent of Austria, and as Austria triumphed, he recovered the hereditary estates of Parma and Placentia. But the Duke, disgusted by his experience, resigned in favor of his own son. The minister retained the same favor and exhibited the same talents that first raised him to distinction, and made him more than a match for the first of the Italian diplomatists. Upon one occasion he was dispatched to Vienna, as an envoy from his little court. His acquaintance was specially cultivated by the Russian ambassador, who appears to have been very fond of Yorkshire hams. An English gentleman, dining one night at the Russian ambassador's, complimented him upon the excellence of the ham. "There is a member of our diplomatic body here," replied the envoy, "who supplies us all with hams from Yorkshire, of which county he is a native." As Prime Minister, Ward negotiated the abdication of Charles II of Parma, and placed the youthful Charles III on the throne of the Italian Duchy, who was assassinated before his own palace in 1854. As soon as Charles III came to the throne, Baron Ward was sent by his patron as Minister Plenipotentiary, to represent Parma at the Court of Vienna. This post he held up to the time of his royal patron's tragic end. When the Duchess Regent assumed state authority, Ward retired from public life, and took to agricultural pursuits in the Austrian dominions. Without any educational foundation, he contrived to write and speak German, French, and Italian, and conducted the affairs of state with considerable cleverness, if not with remarkable straightforwardness. But the moment he attempted to express himself in English, his dialect was found to retain all the characteristics of his want of education. Ward was married to a humble woman of Vienna, and at his death he left 4 children. Throughout life, Thomas Ward was ever proud of England, never for a moment attempting to conceal his humble origin, and portraits of his parents, in their homespun clothes, could long be seen in the splendid salon of the Prime Minister of Parma.